Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you being here. All right, so getting back, obviously a tough loss up there in Raleigh. Watching the film, thought our team played hard. We were physical, played with toughness, but defense played awesome. Defense certainly gave us a chance to win that game in so many different ways, but we ran the ball pretty well, but we turned the ball over and we weren't very effective in the red zone. Difference in the game. So got back and right to work right away. This team certainly has shown some resiliency throughout the year when we have suffered a setback, and it was no different in our return. And certainly there was a lot of just energy and a lot of focus on preparing for Florida State this coming weekend. So questions, please.
Mario, you mentioned on the radio this morning about like how you and the staff are constantly assessing things, and you were asking about Tyler and Emory. Does that kind of mean you guys are going to be looking at whoever has the best week in practice with the start on Saturday, or is it kind of business as usual when it comes to the quarterback?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the question, and I would respectfully say this is just from a game planning standpoint and a team dynamic standpoint, I wouldn't use this forum to discuss a personnel move, especially at that position, right? Because it affects so many different things. What I would always say is that we're always competing at every position, we're always assessing, and we always make the decisions that give us the best chance to win. So again, respectfully, we kind of keep everything regarding, personnel moves in-house intent.
When you assess quarterback play, how much do turnovers factor into your assessment?
We've struggled, to your question. Turnovers cost us football games, right? So we have progressed as a team in so many different areas. In the last 4 weeks, we have regressed in the passing game. We have, and it's a combination of things. There's no masking that. We certainly don't sidestep that. So, and when you assess, the passing game, you assess, how does it relate to the running game? How does protection fit in? How does the protection as it relates to the backs? How's the route running? So, it's a huge area of focus, and it's tied into some of the turnovers that we've had as well. And it is a top priority for us.
How do you feel like the receivers have been doing in recent weeks? Are they getting enough separation? Are they running the correct depths?
I think sometimes we have, sometimes we haven't. I think there is effort and sometimes there's lapses. I think man coverage, at times we beat it, other times we get snugged up pretty good. There's progress, and sometimes there's lapses. I think there was improvement in effort this past week. When you play against a drop 8 outfit, it's a little bit different, right? It's going to be drop 8, it's going to be man, some form of 1 or 0. They play some of that cloud coverage too. The windows are small, but I wouldn't point a finger at that position or any position in particular. I would put it on us as a whole, as an organization. Coaches and players, everything. And I know it's a very generic and mundane answer. It's just this forum. I like to give as much information as possible without ever fracturing what we believe in, which is make sure we own it, as a whole. But do we need to improve there and everywhere else? Yes.
All right, when you areas where you kind of regress a little bit, where have you seen the team progress in the last few weeks as you were going?
Well, I think our running game against tough looks continues to get better. Those are tough yards. I think we managed to do probably a better job getting the ball down the red zone than most squads against this last outfit. We knew it would be a grinder of a game. The play count in the games against NC State have been low, but we got down there 3 times, and just outside of the red zone, 4th time we walked out with 3 points. That's not good enough. Our defense continues to get better and better against the run. We've been able to present multiple looks, play multiple coverages, play a lot of different guys, and we continue to get better there. We played a significant amount of young guys on special teams as well. Our coverage units have improved. Guys like Popo Geary making big tackles down there on kickoff. So we see all that stuff again. Where we saw our regression was in the turnover department and the ability to throw the football.
All right, I know there's not one way to do everything, obviously, but when you look at your contemporaries in the ACC, like Dabo was famously, I think, 6 and 7 in year 2. FSU under Mike was 5 and 7 in the second year. Like, when you take over something that was going to take years to get it exactly the way you need it to be, do you look at blueprints from other places and look at the ebbs and flows of what goes on at other rebuilds when you're trying to put one together here?
I think I always do. I always try to learn more and more in everything that we do as we put Miami to where it needs to be. I like using the experience of being here before, the experience of going to Rutgers, the experience of going to FIU, the experience of going to Oregon. They were all very similar. You know, one was 4-8, one was 0-12, another one was 1-11. So there's a lot of similarities, and then of course the experience up at Alabama, where getting there and sustaining it is just as hard, maybe harder, right? And which is similar to the experience as a player, which is different, you know. But without a doubt, you know, you look at what are the common traits, right? What are the similarities in all those blueprints? And some of it is consistency, right? Systematic consistency. Some of it, a lot of it is personnel, right? Talent acquisition, getting in one class after another, making sure those classes have continue to grow, mature, and develop. When those guys are juniors and seniors, you know, what that product looked like for those places and how different they were when they started. So, yeah, I think it's a constant study, always trying to find ways to tweak and improve the blueprint that we have.
One follow-up, is there it's right, I mean, I know every game counts the same, your job is to win all 12, I get that. You know much, so much is made more of this week, and is the timing of this and what your team is going through right now, is it a good thing or a bad thing? To be dealing with a little adversity in a rivalry week, is that something you think?
I think it's always a good time for a rivalry game, right? It's what college football has always been and will always be about. And the intensity, the pageantry, the passion behind it is awesome. It's uncomfortable.
Mario, Tyler's obviously had a rough past 3 days and very rough on social media. How is he? Even if he doesn't look at it, it's very tough to escape that now. How is he doing?
He's good, he's tough, he's resilient. I don't know how much social media affects him or, you know, people in general, so that can never be a factor for it. That has nothing to do with the work that needs to be done, the team itself, the areas to improve, teammates, goals, all that kind of stuff. So, but he is very determined to be the best teammate he could possibly be and the best player he could possibly be. So he's being Tyler Manning.
Okay, and then the other thing is, Rashard Smith had a good game against Clemson, but he's only gotten 4 touches from scrimmage since that game. Why isn't he getting more opportunities? Is there a reason?
I think there's a concerted effort to get him more opportunities. You know, early in the game last week, we tried him on the slot fade, and that thing didn't hit. It's certainly part of the game plan. He's been a really good player for us, especially when he gets the opportunity to get out there in space and do some things. But it's certainly not out of design where he's not getting the ball. In fact, it's the opposite. You know, there's plenty of play design to try to get him the ball. The ball just hasn't found its way there.
Mario, Jaden and Daryl both left the game on Saturday. Do you have any status updates on them?
Jaden is he's fine, he's perfect. Daryl was a little bit off on Saturday, but we feel very optimistic about him. He looked pretty good today.
And then I guess same thing like Ray, Elijah Arroyo, and AJ Allen both held out on Saturday too.
Ray looked really good today, so we expect him to be a full go. AJ looks good today, expect to be a full go, and I believe Arroyo, we'll see him later today, but we feel optimistic he'll be a full go as well.
You've had go-to running backs, it seems like, and some of it's been because of guys get banged up a little bit, but you've had a hot hand with three or four different guys that have been a hot hand at times this year. On one hand, that's good, you have guys with that sort of potential. On the other hand, from week to week, you don't know who the guy is. How difficult has that been for you guys?
It hasn't been because it's played itself out. You know, we're not big at running back. You know, Fletcher's large man, you know, and Chaney's got some size to him, but we're not like overly imposing at running back. So they run hard. You know, we really emphasize running hard and certainly securing the football. So it's because those guys do, you know, they run in loaded boxes and they take on safeties and they got to be involved in protection. If they do get banged up and they are forced to miss some time, we feel very confident in the next man up, just because there's been so much, I would say, there hasn't been enough separation, right? And I believe this past week, Mark Fletcher certainly showed something different, because that's a very difficult team to run the ball against. And you saw some of the contact plus 2, 3, even 4 yards, some of the arm tackles he'd run through. I mean, he was flat out impressive.
From watching film early on, just what stands out about this FSU team, a team that's really similar to last year's team.
A very upperclassman laden team, very talented, very stout, big, strong at the line of scrimmage, and very explosive at the skill positions. Quarterback certainly a difference maker.
Coach, in a matchup that has lasted 72 years, and for it to be a very important environment for your team to play well under against the 4th-ranked team in the nation, what do you feel is the most important thing to prepare your team as you were a former player, kind of facing that environment as well?
The intensity behind practice and preparation is always the most important thing. You've got to be able to win your Monday, Tuesday, your Monday through Friday, right? Because your practice and preparation is going to end up being your game reality. And then come game time, make sure that practice and preparation makes its way onto the field in the form of high-level execution and in the form of making sure that you're not creating your own turnovers, that you're not having penalties that you could avoid. So being able to execute at a high level with a lot of passion, play really, really hard, play really physical, finish plays, and play together.
I know you try to stay this way at all times, but
And here he is.
in here, yes. Do you find that the juice is getting, even at your highly caffeinated level, do the juices get a little hot this week for you?
They're always hot, I mean, you gotta, when I come into this forum here, I gotta, professionally cover a lot of information. I gotta make sure that I'm as transparent as I can be without ever, like I mentioned earlier, affecting the team dynamic, because that's the most important part, the locker room, as we continue to develop and grow and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, I'm a former football player, man, I love this game to the death. It's the DNA, it's life's blood, it's, the best thing in the world, of course, besides family and faith and all that. It's, to us, like we talked about teams today, why are we pissed? Why are we frustrated? Because we live and die to be a Miami Hurricane. So we care, it hurts. And the only response that we have is to get back to work. That's the only response we've seen from this team, which is awesome to see. Wouldn't expect and wouldn't want and wouldn't accept anything else.
Hey Mario, they've used the transfer portal incredibly up there to get themselves back on the map, so to speak. I think like 60% of their transfers are starting for them. Talk a little bit about that. Just are they the prototype for the transfer portal right now?
They've done a great job with the transfer portal. They have several guys at several positions that are transfer portal acquisitions. So they've done a great job of identifying and acquiring transfer portal prospects that again have a lot of experience, are in the junior and senior realm.
And on their offense, Jordan Travis, speaking of transfers, Jordan Travis, Keelan Coleman, Trey Benson, just how are you going to stop those guys? Obviously, all of last year had difficulties against them.
Those are really high level players. They're as good as you'll find in the country, and they play really, really hard.
Mario, what have you learned? A year and a half into the ACC, getting ready to face the leaders of the ACC in Louisville next week. Just what have you learned about the conference itself?
Very competitive. Every team has really good players. Quarterback play in this conference is really, really high. Defensive linemen in this conference you'll find a lot of, there's not a ton of conferences that have high level defensive linemen. I think every single week you see a high level one here. Schematically, you'll see some pretty significant differences week to week. Like last week, I don't know if there's a team out there in the other conferences I've had a chance to coach and that plays that particular defense, so it's almost like a different flavor every single week, but some high level professionalism, some good coaching, and some really good players.
Mario, you were saying that FSU rivalry with UM is, I guess, special, obviously. Can you expound on that a little more about this rivalry and how so many kids know each other, grew up with each other, or what makes this one a little more?
I think it's the best one. I just, played in it, coached in it. I think it's the best one. There is intensity unmatched. So
I
Do
think
you worry that it's going to be a little too intense, that they have to tone it down a little?
I think it's important to play on passion as opposed to emotion, right? Emotion could kind of go up and down and lead you to maybe overthink or not think or whatnot. But in terms of, I think the energy and the juice behind it take care of itself. We got to make sure we do, and everybody, to do a really good job on focusing on what to do, how to do it, why to do it that way. Assignment football, and let the intensity and the passion take care of itself.
And then what memories do you have from playing in Tallahassee?
The best, the absolute best. Intense, physical, knockdown, drag out games. Always what you circle your calendar for, in the summertime. And was fortunate enough to be part of some unbelievable games. You always loved football, always loved the opportunity I got at the University of Miami, and we lived for that game every year.
Just got a few more kind of silly ones, I apologize, but you played a bunch of night games this year. This one's 3:30, Louisville games at noon. Is it easier for a coach to play earlier in the day than waiting around all day for game day?
That's a good question. I think teams are different. Some teams like to get up and hit the ground running. Eat a PB&J and go to the field and play ball. Other ones they like being under the lights. Others like the in between. I love noon games. I do. I like getting up and going. I don't like just don't like sitting around. I don't want to watch. To me, it's like we tell our team when we play on Saturday, it's the only game that matters. So I don't really care about watching other games. I want to go play ours.
The importance of this game is from a high school recruiting standpoint. How big is this game in that regard?
I think this game, I think all games, I think the season, I think watching programs progress, I think they all factor in, I think recruits are always watching, right? They're watching to see, hey, are the things that we are seeing when we visit a place, are they being validated by some of the things that they're doing on Saturdays? From a personnel standpoint, from a accomplishment standpoint, a progress standpoint, a particular position and their results. So I think recruits are always watching, and they're watching for consistency, for honesty, and for truth.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you guys.